Hello to all geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados and deadheads. Welcome to MaliceCast TV Talks, The Walking Dead, the after show that recaps and reacts to last night's episode, which was Season 8, Episode 12, The Key. The key to what? We don't know until we get deeper into the episode, but yeah. So...
Life.
Thank you for joining us on tonight's chat. Let us know in the chat room if you watched the episode. If you haven't, be very aware that this is a spoiler cast. We are going to talk about everything that's going on within the episode and what our thoughts are and who we think some people might be and all other stuff. So yeah. So if you haven't watched the episode, be aware. Spoiler cast. Spoils are coming. This MaliceCast Live is always brought to you by malice-corp.com, the little website that's written right there. That is our website to talk all things nerd. Walking Dead's a comic book TV show. It's very nerdy. We're very geeky for it. So yeah, that's why
we're geeky in general. That's why we're on this site.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about who's on the cast to talk dead to each other. You have me, Mess5150. That's going to be trying hard all night long to not say the other phrase that I said last week. You have me, Mess5150, your host, and along with me are resident deadhead, Mrs. Malice. Hello.
Hello. I'm back to talk dead.
And we also have joining the cast as always, Mr. Iczorro.
I'll talk dirty or dead. I'm good with either one. I'm
dirty dead.
Yeah, and I am. Well, you got to admit the zombie apocalypse is a dirty place, so I'm comfortable with that. I have now officially
dirty places.
Like the back of a whole place.
That's just a small place.
Well, uncomfortable.
Being a creeper.
But I have actually within the last week or so caught up on the Walking Dead comics. I'm current. So one of the characters introduced tonight, there's some theories going around about it, and I will definitely be able to give you my take on that.
I'm not that far yet. So.
Okay. Let's go a little bit into kind of what the episode was about. I got to say right now, I love this episode. Absolutely loved it.
For sure.
Loved it. It had the stylistic thing that's been going on with the episodes. Opened up with the eyes. Look at the eyes of of the saviors.
Their souls.
Yeah. So you still had your that type of thing going on, but you had the action that you want. The storytelling was great. The dialogue was great. I mean, this is what we've been wanting from Walking Dead again for the past, I'd say, 3 seasons in terms of everything meshing together.
The back half of the season, with maybe the one exception of the episode where they were trying to get back to the hilltop after leaving Alexandria, has been fantastic. That's the only slow episode I can think of. Like things have been progressing, plot is moving along. It's hitting enough of the stuff that happened in the comics while not being the same story that it's intriguing for people that have read them. The back half of the season is killing it right now.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do what they did in the comic books when they were doing the blood drenching of the weapons. I thought I'd see it this episode. We didn't. All we saw.
I agree.
Gearing up for it. So,
yeah, I was thinking about that too, because that's sort of one of the main things that leads up to the end of this story arc in the comics. Again, different stories. But yeah, they were kind of the whole speech that Negan gave at the end of last episode with the goring up the weapons. I was kind of expecting to see that this episode, and we didn't.
Well, and that's the thing that we posed last week was, can they really do this with how the writing's been and stuff like that? Like, they've kind of made it self-aware that guts just aren't gonna just kill you off and turn you, although they're now writing that as if Gabriel is having issues because of it. So this episode, and we'll get deeper into it on they may have just completely done a U-turn on that whole aspect. But so yeah, you had, as always, majority of the Walking Dead episodes, there's usually 3 major stories going on. That's pretty much what was going on here as well. You had a Dwight Simon story, which was a very interesting thing to see. I mean, Og, I can't remember his first name, but the guy that plays Simon, his acting is phenomenal. I
hate that character. He's so good.
Yeah, and coming from the only thing that I've seen him in before is Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm so glad to see him on screen doing stuff.
That's where I know him from.
Yeah. And he plays a scumball in Grand Theft Auto 5 as well. He does a really good job of it. So I'm glad to see him on screen, and I look forward to more of this character because he is you just want to hate him. But yeah, we have a lot of interaction between those two. Go ahead, Mrs. Malice.
Hate to love character. You gotta hate to love him.
Exactly.
The question of Gore, Polyfuse is in the chat, by the way. Hey, Polyfuse. He said, if HBO had The Walking Dead, there would be no Gore problem. Like we wouldn't even consider it an issue.
I think if it was on HBO though too, they would have stuck more to the comic book then.
Oh God, yes. The Negan's word, his everything he said would have been word for word.
Every third word is the F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like he uses it gratuitously in the comics for a reason.
There's like one part in the comic books where it was all just the F word, which is maybe like one word in there.
F and F-ity, F'ers, FFF, constant.
Well, as I think it was George Carlin that said that it could be a preposition as well as a noun as well as.
There's that whole scene in Boondock Saints where Rocco walks into the room where everybody's dead and he's effing what the F did you effing F? Like he goes off the whole paragraph and then they kind of look at each other and go, by the way, Norman Reedus goes, well, certainly illustrates the diversity of the word.
So,
Gerald's button.
that's one of the major stories going on. Is it's a very interesting kind of conversation going on with Simon and Dwight that's happening. The other major story that we had going on was Rick and Negan.
Apocalypse car chase.
Yes, battle royale. I read in one article that it seemed that Rick got a video game power up when Lucille was in his hands.
So you have all zombie and Negan killing powers.
He picked up the bat and got like +8 to attack.
Exactly. And we'll get into that as well. And the last major story that was going on within the episode was the power of the women. And I thought this was cool because this was the first time that I've seen Maggie, Enid, Michonne,
Rosita.
Them kind of figuring out what to do next. There was no Daryl mixed in there. There was no Rick mixed in there. This
episode passed the I can't remember what the test is called. Like if you have a complex show, you have to check and see if there are female characters only talking to each other and not about men specifically. This is a feminist show. It's great. And that was a very important point that actually got called out on Talking Dead. Like those scenes where they're deciding the future of how things are going to go, those are all women.
Yep.
There's 7 women standing in a clearing or a crossroads actually fittingly. And they're deciding how this is going to go. It's kind of rad.
Yeah. And I liked it because I got to see Maggie be the reason why I like Maggie so much. So again.
So once again, the power of the story in this episode and the dialogue was amazing. Before we get into great detail on the different things of the episode, we always start off what was our favorite scenes, what was our least favorites. So somebody came here to surprise us, so I need to know, Mrs. Malice, what was your favorite scene of the episode?
Not the gory stuff?
I have 3, actually. There's
3.
Wow. Yeah.
Insurmountable.
One being Maggie finally being the Maggie we all love. So that was one. Every scene with her I loved. So the other one, believe it or not, is when Rick throws the axe and he misses, but he misses for a reason. And that was to get Negan to jump down. And the last one is with Miss Heapster with Negan in the car.
Can we talk about Negan's line when he jumps down is probably the best line of the entire episode. I'm a goddamn cat.
I don't think Rick missed on purpose. I think if Negan hadn't ducked, that would have caught him square in the head.
Maybe he didn't miss on purpose, or maybe he wasn't missing on purpose. But still,
but it was,
cool because it got him to not only duck out of the way but drop Lucille, which gave Nick his.
Yeah, well, it's what again, you call him Nick. No, it's what's called in chess a fork attack. Like whichever way you respond, you're gonna lose somehow.
Yeah. So, and it caused Negan to drop Lucille, which gave Rick the power up.
Excalibur.
That's one of the things they said on Talking Dead. Not to call out other after shows too much, but one of the Inside the Dead series or segments that they had, they said Negan basically considers Lucille to be his Excalibur. He feels like a lot of his power resides in the bat.
Oh, you can tell,
especially when he lit it on fire.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that one.
Yeah.
So,
Power up.
and Jack Malice says, "Can I choose the end credits as my favorite scene?" Boo, Jack. Boo.
Ooh, I want a divorce.
Oh. And Polly says agrees that he can. Yeah, we got the two people that don't watch the show in here talking to us about the show.
Yeah.
We appreciate you coming. You guys do make the chat much more funner. And we do appreciate anybody that wants to come and chat dead with us. So, Iczorro, what was your favorite scene?
Easy. Rick and Negan wandering around a maze of a basement, being able to hear each other, and Rick just being more Negan than Negan.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same with you. That was I need more of that. I need that for the rest of the other 5-6 episodes that we're getting. I need that.
Yeah.
Them just talking back and forth amongst each other in a chess match battle. I mean that's really
well, and this is another huge departure from the comics, because in the comics, Rick kind of just bows down to Negan as a front, as a sort of like he convinces all the communities that we're giving into Negan. This is just how we live now. You don't get it. He won. Meanwhile, he's still plotting to overthrow Negan. But in this case, I don't know if it's the loss of Carl, but he is full on rampaging. He's berserker right now.
It's the loss of Carl. It has to be the loss of Carl.
My other favorite scene, because it shocked the heck out of me, because I was expecting something different, and I like when you get a little bit of a shock. But Daryl and Rick, when Daryl came saying more than 3 words and a grunt, and actually,
maybe the most dialogue he's had in like 3 seasons.
That bearing his soul scene to Rick of like, hey, I had to do what I had to do when I did it, but I'm sorry I did it. I'm there for you, whatever you need,
Yeah.
That was awesome to see. And if we'll talk about this a little later too, but Twitter, the reactions on Twitter for this episode were hilarious and awesome. And that's what everybody was talking about, was like, Daryl can say more than 3 words and say a full sentence.
A lot of sentences, at the beginning of the show, but like his dialogue.
Well, the only time that we really got a good amount of dialogue from him was with Carol, him talking to Carol. He never really.
And Merle.
I guess.
They had long conversations. It's just that he was being dominated by his brother at the time.
He had a lot of conversations with Beth too. He had a lot of dialogue with Beth. A lot, because he was.
Yeah, there was that one episode that was just Beth and Daryl, which was great.
And we want to welcome Masonic Vader and Super Hoovian Nut to our chat room as well.
Hey, folks. So. And Super Hoovian says, Daryl is eloquent as F.
Hey.
I would say he is verbally efficient.
Yes. Okay, let's get into our main story. Because okay, did anybody have a least favorite moment? Was there a part of this episode that you just hated?
Edith. I don't like her.
Well, let's get right into that then. Let's touch that story first. So
this is the storyline that the episode is named after.
Yes, the key. So, essentially, what happened? Maggie saw a balloon that had a note on it that was saying, "Fill these crates with records or food, and we will give you the key to the future." To which discussions happened amongst Michonne, Maggie, Rosita, and Enid about what to do. And Maggie makes one of the best lines in there, that if it is true, if they're there to help us and we don't go, we just miss it.
Yep.
But if they're not there to help us, we die. And
totally disagree.
You don't think that was the best line?
I think the logic is sound, but I think that the fact that this group even made an offer like that, they clearly know where the hilltop is. So they've done some scouting. They know what's going on. When they meet them on the crossroads, they know about the communities and the connections. There's no reason that these people would do this as a trap. My first instinct was trust them.
Well, yeah, but put yourself in the shoes where they've been going through all types of crap, and they're in the middle of a war.
When I saw that, I was scared that they're going to have another Negan on their hands. That's what I was thinking. Like, oh no, this is like a bait. This is a trap.
Because
just the way that those people approached the situation calmly, not a whole lot of like they didn't have weapons drawn at the meet. They were just there to talk. The fact that they're asking for music as a trade.
Well, at that point, yeah. When at the beginning, you don't know what you're getting. All you have is a note saying "Meet us here." You could be ambushed. There's all type of people that put.
Oh, absolutely. Take precaution.
And that's what I'm scared of.
And they did take precautions. They've got Rosita coming in around the side.
But once again, just the four of them. If there's 30 of them that all of a sudden come out, it doesn't matter if Rosita comes from the sides. They're still dead. That's what
they definitely should have taken more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they meet some new characters that we got. We got Georgie, and what is it? Margie and
can't remember, but they're twins.
They're twins.
I had it written down here, and I don't see where I put it. Oh,
something with Hilden. Yes, it's a very Nordic name. I remember that.
Yeah. Which, okay, the only problem I had with dialogue was those two doing the and just.
They were Beavis and Butthead in the background.
It sounded like they were trying to me. It sounded like they were guys. They were acting like they were guys. That's what it sounded like.
Well, I don't want to be un-PC. My favorite line from those two though is the whole fake words thing. Like, fake words like flibberty gibbet or moisture.
Yeah.
I love that moisture was a fake word. But they get there. Maggie says, "Give us your stuff." They don't have anything to give, and except food, which is not what they're there for. And Georgie says, "I have information that will help with life and everything. It's all in my head. I can't just give it to you. And I want records that aren't spoken word because it wants actual music."
I want to be listening. I mean, I would take George Carlin, but other than that.
And so then this little coup starts where are they bad guys? Are they good guys? And that's where we get Enid jumping in with take their stuff.
Yeah. Which makes dislike her.
Yeah, and you guys both kind of talked about how great Maggie was in this episode. I don't think she was, because her initial reaction was, "Yeah, we got to take their stuff." The logical puzzle that she, that you called as a great quote earlier, her initial instinct is screw these people, take what they have in the van, and let's get done with it.
But which brings later on, she thought, and when she looks over and sees Judith and Grace, you could see in her head that she realized that her initial thought was wrong. Do you think it was her initial thought that she realized, or do you think it was Michonne actually? It could have been a mixture of Michonne too, saying what she said to Maggie, and then Maggie looking over and realizing I could be better. I think Michonne was the only one that had the most level head of everybody.
I was completely on Michonne's side throughout that whole debate.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Yes.
I think Maggie had the right. She was the right leader in terms of being protective at first of should we do this and everything.
Yes.
And I think the fact that Maggie was able to take what Michonne said and come back around goes back to that quality of a good leader.
And that's where I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
I love Maggie.
That's because she's able to take constructive criticism and work with it.
Yeah.
This is why I wanted to touch in on Mrs. Malice not liking how Enid was in the episode. The vibe I got from Enid was, we've talked about it multiple weeks, and we've asked who's going to replace Carl. Carl in the comics gets very like take everybody's stuff, like wants to kill Negan, and Rick talks him back down and everything like that. It feels like Enid's taking a little bit of that on. and they're putting a little bit of Carl's character into Enid right now because she's.
I would disagree. I think that part of the comics that you're talking about was also shown on the show, where Carl rides to the sanctuary and tries to kill Negan.
No, because even at the end,
he very much forms a relationship with him
later. But remember, at the end, when you first think Negan's dead, Carl's the one that wants to kill him, and Rick talks him down. He still wants to, and so I felt like they were transitioning that bit of Carl over to Enid now. That's what I got from it. But once again, I agree with you, Mrs. Malice. I didn't like that Enid was jumping the gun.
But we also have to remember, this is the first time we've seen Enid since she learned Carl was dead.
Yeah.
So she's hurting.
If she's acting out of hurt, but in this world, by now, at her age, she should know better not to be jumping the gun. I mean, she shot somebody walking up, not even thinking, she just shot her. Even if she had a gun on her, you could, they're intruding on the Oceanside people, and she just shot her. Like, you're intruding. What do you expect? They're going to come at you. You should have been like, oh, wait, we're here for peace, Well,
you just took all their guns and everything, too. So.
You have your gun out to protect you, but be like, oh, we're not here to hurt you. But she just shot her. So, I mean,
she talks about it a little bit with Michonne towards the end of the episode. And actually, I mean, you can't really fault her logic there either. She goes, I killed somebody and I'm alive. Carl helped somebody and he's dead.
Yeah. But that's not the way to look at it. And we've learned this from previous seasons that Enid's still getting used to this. She's been basically in Alexandria for a good long time, was away from everything. And now, granted, she went through the zombies before she got there.
Yeah. Well, you also have to remember where she came from, which was, with her parents, her family, whatever, getting killed, joining up with a group, everybody got killed. She went through like 3 groups where she was the only survivor. So, of course, she is not trusting of people she doesn't know.
I'm getting ripped apart in the chat room because of my phrasing on things. But they are talking about the fantastic plug for one of our favorite places, Battle Mage Brewing Company, which is the shirt I'm wearing right now. Fantastic brewery for things geek. Or sorry, the hat I'm wearing right now. Fantastic brewery for that revolves in things geek and nerd and all
really good beer.
And yes, and they're out in San Diego. So if you ever have the chance to check them out, if you live out that way, you should definitely look up Battle Mage Brewing Company.
I was there for St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. And tweet Jack Malice; he might hang out with you there.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So I mean, I thought that was a good, strong story. That by the end of it, what ended up happening was Maggie came to terms, understood that these people are not the enemy, whereas the saviors are, and listened to Michonne telling her that basically to kind of embrace what Carl was saying a little bit, that not to go and kill everybody. And Maggie came out, made kind of a pact with Georgie, I guess. But the really cool thing with that was that Georgie saw what
she provided.
Yeah, so she was like, I'm changing the terms. I'm gonna give you guys food because you need it more than we do right now.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
When she said, I'm changing the term, I think everybody watching the show went, ooh.
Well,
but she was changing the term to, we're going to take less stuff from you, and I'm going to give you a ton.
Exactly. And I think everybody went that way because who's the one that we always hear say, I'm changing the terms over and over every time something goes against them is Negan. Negan changes the terms
Negan.
for worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's what we've gotten used to.
Yeah.
And we
not necessarily in this episode, though, because Negan, even in this episode, is negotiating a better deal for people just because he's in a tight spot.
Well, that's what we're going to get to on the next part. Absolutely. But yeah, so she renegotiated the terms and she gave them a book. This is what makes the possibility of more seasons coming for Walking Dead even better. Now there's growth potential that can happen much more because she got a book that showed her how to do stuff that basically, like she said,
build a windmill and a grain mill and aqueducts and
stuff to survive.
she makes the point of being people again, coming back from this mess that the world has become, and surviving and becoming a community across the world and everything like that. And
sort of an interesting discussion in the chat channel right now. We were talking earlier about Enid's take on things versus Michonne's take on things. Jack says Enid's way is exactly the way to look at it if you want to survive. My opinion is survival isn't enough. I'm more on the Michonne side. If you want to, survival is fine, but really rebuilding civilization is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree there too. It's more Michonne way than Enid way.
Because they're like 3 years into the zombie apocalypse now. At this point, everybody that's still alive is a survivor.
Yeah.
So at this point, they have to look to building towards the future, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting to see more of Georgie later, because I want to see what she's really coming from, because Enid made the point. You can't walk around like you're doing and survive this world. You can't just do this stuff and offer these,
sure,
information and stuff.
So the fact that the book that she gives her reminds me of one of my favorite apocalyptic novels. It's called Lucifer's Hammer. It's about a civilization ending comet. But one of the smartest guys in the book, like a propulsion physicist or whatever, what he does is he goes and preserves a ton of very basic knowledge books, essentially how things work, volumes 1 and 2. Because he knows that at some point, those things are going to be needed. You're going to need to know how to build a water wheel. You're going to need to know how to build a windmill. You're going to need to know how to properly mill grain.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
How to milk a cow.
No, and that's why I'm liking about this, is it gives us something additional. It's not just putting them in the same spot they're in season after season after season. It's finally showing some growth somewhere else to go with the story and everything like that. So it gets
they're
me
no longer
really excited.
Yeah, they're no longer let's hide here for a while and then move on to the next location when we get a horde.
Yeah, and some of the comments, welcome Sonamaku to the chat as well. Jack saying that any group with a shared society is a civilization. Just because they have brutal laws doesn't make it a less civilization. True, which is Sonamaku said 100%. So, and Jack brings up we're talking about technology, not civilization. So,
and my counterpoint is technology is civilization.
Yeah.
The way that we do things and the things that we use to make our lives better is kind of what civilization is designed around.
And besides, you can only scavenge so much,
exactly.
So much. So,
and there's only so many animals left alive because those are all gone too.
For sure.
Yeah. So, let's get into the next story because I'm gonna save the Rick and Negan till last because that's the most absurd, funnest one of this episode.
For sure.
But we get a lot of, like we said, Simon and Dwight interaction. Really learning this episode, especially that Simon is in that seat, like I said a few weeks ago, looking to overthrow Negan and take over on everything. I'm
definitely Team Dwight now.
Well, are we? That's the thing, because he's swaying Dwight towards hey.
You can see it in Dwight's face that he's
very cautious.
You got to remember, he's still more. He just came from Rick's team. I'm gonna call it team, I guess. And he literally just protected them, and maybe he's only doing what he's doing to protect them from Simon now versus Negan. So I think Dwight's still good.
Sorry, Wes. Mest is clearly reacting to the chat channel, which we're talking about things that we can't actually repeat on air right now. However,
I can't see the chat channel right now.
Mrs. Malice, I agree with you. That whole conversation between Dwight and Simon was so uncomfortable. It's right on because Dwight, and I'm kind of on Dwight's side here. I believe that he truly just wants Negan dead. He's been screwed over by the guy so hard for so long. He doesn't care what happens to him afterwards, for the most part. Like there was a scene earlier in it where we saw him. He's got that cigarette pack with a half a cigarette left and the wedding rings.
The wedding rings. Yep.
That is his driving force. He wants Negan dead. He is 150% on the side of the Alexandrians, in my opinion.
Okay.
But that conversation with Simon, you have to play such a careful line. You guys are the top 2 lieutenants. You already know that you're a traitor. and this guy is talking like he might be a traitor.
And you don't want to give away that you're a traitor too,
Right?
Because otherwise, Simon can turn around and tell Negan, and then get
Exactly.
Dwight. So that's
exactly
Dwight, because he's playing it. He's playing it well, and it's hard to say what side he really is on.
I think I am for Dwight. This episode felt a little weird that it felt like he could be swaying back towards, Negan's gone now, so
well, and
no, that's where the good acting comes in, because you can see it in his face.
Yeah,
you can see it.
Well, the only time I saw it was when, so just to give a lump sum of what happened and everything like that. So first we got Simon planting the seed of that Negan's he's basically on the ends. He's screwing this up. He keeps going back to try and fix it, and it's not happening. These people fight too hard. It's not as easy as he makes it seem. I mean, his plan will work, but it's just not going to be the way that Negan sees it.
No, he doesn't. Happening. He doesn't think it's going to work. He thinks.
Well, he tells him, yeah, the plan will work. It'll work, but it doesn't mean that that's the plan he'd go with.
Because he's walking the party line, he doesn't actually believe the plan will work. When you see Negan telling the crowd about what they're going to do, you see Simon basically roll his eyes out of his head.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Simon, Dwight is being tempted because Simon is showing rebellion, but it's not that he wants to do things better. He just wants to be Negan.
Yeah. Simon just wants to be Negan.
And we see that towards the end after they torch the wreck, which we'll get into. But when he takes over when he's talking to the crowd, he thinks of himself as new Negan, basically.
Yeah, and that's what happens is Simon gets the opportunity to take over because Rick comes flying out of nowhere and crashes into Negan while they're driving through their car.
Speaking of Grand Theft Auto,
yeah, and I love that scene showing Simon seeing the car coming, ignoring it, knowing what's going to happen, seeing Negan get hit, plays up the whole, we got to help him, and da-da-da. Dwight's going to come with me. We're going to go find him. And then you see the smirk. There's just the smirk on Simon's face. Like everything's falling into place. Everything's coming up roses for Simon. Right now.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why, because like the group wanted to go with them to find Negan. He's like, no, stay. We're not.
Oh, he was very deliberate. He knew there was a possibility there. If Negan's injured, he's going to take advantage of that.
And Polyfuse.
I know. Polyfuse's comment is great. I was about to call that out.
Yeah.
I think, and he meant Dwight, not Rick.
Yeah, but all those times that Dwight's been captured, he still has a cigarette pack with the rings and half a smoke. Must have been hiding it in an uncomfortable place, like his booty,
like the back of a Volkswagen.
Well, I was gonna say like Christopher Walken from Pulp Fiction.
Oh yes, the ass watch.
Oh God, ass watch.
But that was a fun scene too, where they find Negan's Charger on its side, and Rick's SUV light pulled, and there's clearly been some violence there. They're not, neither man is to be found, and that's kind of the focal point of where Simon is like, look, I'm gonna get him now or I'm not, and Dwight takes out his last half cigarette, lights it up, and does the whole movie thing of using a cigarette to light gasoline on fire, which doesn't actually work, by the way.
Dude, they should have done the flicking in slow motion, watching the cigarette.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. This will be some of my gripes with the episode. So there's a lot of stuff that they should have done that I don't know if Budget had I'm sure Budget had a big play. We didn't see the car accident with the Charger and the, it's like, hey, there's a car, there's a car race going, and then all of a sudden, hey, they crashed, and yeah.
I kind of appreciated the style of that, honestly.
Yeah, because we didn't really need to see another car chase either. We've already seen one.
Well, I mean, everybody appreciates a zombie apocalypse car chase, but
we didn't. Rick with the Jeep, Daryl with the bike, and the bad guys with the gun on the truck.
Oh yeah, on the Hummer. Yeah.
One person made a point of, is this the slowest car chase that you've ever seen? Isn't a Charger supposed to be going a lot faster?
I know, so much faster.
Car chase we've ever seen, because they hit and then it was over.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God. Okay, so Jack Malice just called out one of my least favorite TV and movie tropes ever: throwing the Zippo. Why do people do that? Those things are like $20. You can just light the fire. You don't have to throw the freaking Zippo.
Paulie says waste of a good Zippo.
Exactly.
This is one of those cheap Zippos, you know.
Also, well, this is and this was pointed out, again, Talking Dead. It was pointed out this Zippo was special to Rick. It was given to him by, I can't remember. It was given to him by a character that was significant to him. Oh, it was Glenn.
Yeah,
it was Glenn. It was Glenn Zippo.
To light the bat with. Yes.
Yeah.
That was Glenn Zippo. Yes. But yeah, so you get Simon telling Dwight that, you know, hey, there's a coup in place. Basically, we can go try and find Negan, and hope that he's somewhat alive, or we can start this coup now and take over. And that's where Dwight went with Simon. Simon gets back to the group, talks about how they couldn't find him. There was just blood everywhere.
But we're all Negan, even if the big man's not here.
Yes, he goes full on Braveheart at that point because everybody's like, "What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" You know,
he goes full on manipulative, despot.
I just mean the inspirational.
Oh, for sure,
like,
yeah.
Like,
oh yeah, he should have had half his face painted.
Who are you?
For sure.
I'm Negan.
Yeah, we're all Negan. We're
they can take out our lives, but they'll never take.
Negan.
McDonald's.
They'll never take our Lucille.
And that's the scene where I agree with you, Mrs. Mouse, where you can still see that Dwight seems like he's on the good side, is that when Simon's full out saying, screw this getting along with everybody and having them do stuff for us, it's time to just murder and destroy.
Yep.
And you can see that look in Dwight's face like, oh crap, we thought Negan was bad. Now
we're going to go from being Negan to all being Simon.
You know,
we don't want to play Simon Says in this place. So.
Ooh, right hand up. Oh, I didn't say so. No, and we've kind of talked about this before. I think we already knew Simon was worse than Negan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Negan still views people as resources, and he genuinely believes that he's trying to save people. We've gone over this over and over throughout the season. Are they good or are they bad? In Negan's head, he's the good guy. He's saving people.
Mm-hmm.
He considers people resources. He may not have a personal connection to any of them, and we kind of get into that in the last segment where we're going to talk about. But at this point, Simon is just pissed and vengeful and just wants some slaughter. The same way he treated the heapsters.
Yep.
Jack Malice says, I am Spartacus.
Yeah.
There is no Spartacus.
But yeah.
Well, I am Spartacus.
No, I am Negan.
But I mean, this is kind of coming to fruition with what I was saying a couple weeks ago when we were asking if Simon's dead now that he killed off the heapsters, and I said he's gonna sway this group, and it shows the bloodlust that is within the Saviors. Yeah, Negan. That's why I said Negan's not as bad as he seems. He is a bad guy, but I think he quells that bloodlust in this group.
Yep, I have to agree with
the
that.
way he leads.
I think Negan is an ends justify the means guy.
Yeah.
He totally believes that the end point is saving humanity. His methods might be rough. He has said, I think in the show, definitely in the comics, look, I killed your friend. I killed that little Asian kid. You know what? To save the rest of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it goes back to his form of capital punishment. There needs to be a debt for whatever the bill is. You know, I mean, there has to be something paid for what the debt that's created.
I gotta kill one of you so I can save the rest of you.
And Jack says Negan is a benevolent tyrant. Yes, I agree.
Yes. Absolutely.
100%. So
Simon's 20 times worse though.
So let's talk the fun of the episode, because this is the greatest. So
how big was that basement?
Yeah.
I think they went upstairs and they went downstairs and they went further downstairs.
The comic book storyline and the season that we're in is called All Out War, and a lot of it has been all out trapped and not a lot of war. And
we still have episodes to go.
Yeah, but we've got all out war between Rick and Negan at this point. Rick said he finally let his anger fly after Carl being gone. A plan had been set.
Yeah, the most notable purpose of that was Rick seeing everybody coming, reaching for the horn to warn others, and then deciding, you know what? No, I'm gonna get them.
Yeah. And once that was kind of him swaying to Daryl at this point, where Daryl like I'm going away from the plan because I got to do what I got to do, and now that him and Daryl have that conversation, and then he ends up understanding that it's not about saving innocent lives; it's about keeping the people that we have safe.
Rick went Daryl on him.
Rick went Daryl, yes.
How much do you think that conversation with Daryl influenced him? Because he basically said, "Look, man, I saw a shot. I figured I could end it right there. Like if I could deal with it right then we'd be done."
That's what Rick told him, is that he was wrong. He was looking at saving everybody as opposed to just saving our own. Mm-hmm. And because of that, I think he's come to the terms that you can't save everybody. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and then he immediately does the other thing. He doesn't warn people that the saviors are coming. He takes his shot at Negan.
And then Polyfuse makes a comment about Negan. I think Negan turned them into bloodlust, seeking people with him at the helm. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think with last week's with last week's episode, not everybody's that way because we have the good savior that we always talk about. So he doesn't have that bloodlust. He's got somewhat of a proper head on his shoulder.
I don't agree that Negan has bloodlust. The whole purpose of he's
saying that he's turned the people that have bloodlust amongst that group, he's turned them more towards it because of
how he's running the show.
Yes.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah. So Rick sees the motorcade that they were supposed to honk when they see it so they can let everybody that's watching know and come in. He sees that Negan's in the motorcade and says, "F this, I'm taking Negan out now." And when you said Grand Theft Auto 5, truly, I don't know how he was able to get the speed that he needed to hit just right to nail Negan's Charger in the side through a street.
Did he have an aerial view somehow?
I don't know. But crashes into Negan, starts the whole semi-fast car chase through the streets. The accident happens, and Rick comes out full on. No Gabriel there this time to stop him from shooting, and just unloads a clip.
And honestly, Rick has been watching too much Stormtroopers because
right?
With every shot.
Can we talk about the Stormtrooper aim that he had there? Because it was terrible.
It makes no sense when he was a cop.
As I was watching, I was like, take it off full auto, dude. Stop. You're wasting your entire ammunition.
Yeah, with the burst.
There was like 3 times where if he wasn't reloading, he would have had a clean kill shot. But he had just wasted so many bullets. It was like, stop it, dude.
We have too many episodes still to get through on the season. He can't do that yet.
Missing on purpose so he can attract more zombies to come and help him fight with Negan. That's what's going on.
No, yeah, exactly. There was a plan. Rick's always got a plan. He's always got a level head on his shoulders and knows what's going on. Also, Jack makes a point. Simon is a despot. Once you kill, it becomes easier and easier to kill again. Very true.
Yep.
And spending your day smashing walkers has to make it easier to kill a living person. I would say that there is truth to that as well.
Yes.
Look at the flowers.
Look at the flowers.
So they end up in this desolate building warehouse room. Rick runs out of his bullets at the exact opportune time, the MacGuffins for the story again, where Negan's like, "Well, you're out now." It's
let's run into the building. Oh, there's a big hole over there. Let me go up the stairs. Oh, you're out of bullets. Come on up. Oh, I'm going into the hole.
Yeah, Rick pulls out his axe, throws it at Negan. Negan jumps, drops Lucille.
He doesn't just throw it; he full on, like Last of the Mohicans tomahawk. Yeah,
tomahawk that.
Daniel Day-Lewis that. And then what ensues is a game of cat and mouse in the lower levels of this warehouse.
Which again is this, a labyrinth down there? Do they? Yeah. I don't understand how they could hear each other so well and not be apparently like they were wandering around through a rat's maze.
Negan giving his good line that he's a freaking cat.
Yeah. I gotta mention this tweet that came out because I loved when I saw it. Made me laugh my ass off. They said Negan in the basement calling out to Lucille like it's Mjolnir and he's Thor.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I'm coming for you, baby.
Touch her.
Don't you touch her was one of the great lines of this episode. He can, and okay, again, comic. He named it after his dead wife, and in the comic, when that bat dies, he talks to it like it is his dead wife.
Doesn't he, before they take off, doesn't he put her in the bucket and say something about her looking down?
You look so beautiful right now, baby.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. So the person that comes across the bat first, while all this conversation is going on, we get Negan telling Rick that there's a new deal that he'll only take 25% from them. They'll be living like 75% kings, is what he said.
That was a good line too. Yeah.
It's a good deal. Let's get this all worked out if you get everybody in line now. So once again, benevolent tyrant, like you said, but he is trying to save lives still. He's still trying to, we don't need to do any more of this killing. We just all need to get in line and understand that we are the guys on top, and we're the ones that you're gonna give stuff to.
Yeah.
Which Negan's not getting it, that Rick is not gonna be pushed over anymore.
And Simon does understand that. They had that, like Simon said something earlier in the episode. He's like, I don't think Negan's doing the right thing. Like, these people are not going to be scared.
Nope. Well, yeah, that's what he said, but I'm agreeing with you. Yeah, they're not going to be scared.
Negan with the bat is someone being a little crazy. It's called being insane, is what Jack Malice says.
I don't know that it's insane. It's just a coping mechanism.
Yeah. And then we get the what I say is the most fantastic part of this episode, before the big reveal to Negan. Well, we get the big reveal to Negan first, I believe it is. Negan finally finds out that Simon killed all the
Yeah, the look on his face right there is like, God damn it.
Yep.
So there's no hope for Simon at this point from Negan's side.
Oh yeah, no.
We know he's dead once Negan gets a chance at him, but the question is Simon going to have enough backing from everybody else that it's going to create a coup amongst the saviors, splitting them, and
that was a solid question, because Simon has assumed de facto leadership of the group right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the final thing that happens is Rick is the one that stumbles across Lucille and goes full on, like we said, video game power up. Uses Glenn's lighter to light the bat on fire and gives Polyfuse what he was saying should have been done at the beginning of the Saviors, and we start getting fire zombies.
I kind of was waiting for them. When Rick picked up the bat and lit it on fire, I was waiting for them to switch to a first-person view. And I was like, are they going to do this like a Doom style through the catacombs of this building,
That would have been awesome. First person, like you see the flaming bat in front. Just that would have been great.
And we're back again. So we're back to Rick has kind of thrown Carl's words out, like we said was probably going to happen, about the let's find a way to get to peace. He's back into I don't care if I die mode as long as Negan dies, because he's putting himself into stupid harm's way again.
As always.
I mean, what do you guys what do you think about the whole scene about Rick going kind of just off the deep end again?
As I said earlier, it's my favorite moment of the show, this episode. Rick is being more Negan than Negan at this point. He is hardcore death destruction. We're going to F you up. You're dead. You're going to die in a dark place like this. Mm-hmm. He's crueler than Negan at this point. Yep. And I mean, I get it, but he's got to come back from that at some point, right?
Well, he's not going to, because we don't have Morgan anymore.
Well, Morgan's gone full clear. We know he's not going to.
He's cleared out.
Which means that Rick does have to come back from it, because like we've said before, whenever Morgan's full clear or full on,
they're a teeter-totter.
They're never on the same.
So we got Crazy Rick right now. So maybe Crazy Rick will finish off Negan and Simon.
It's weird. It's like catnip Rick. He's not crazy except when he's around Negan, who's the catnip and is causing him to go because every time he gets away from him,
He's just rolling around like, kill, destruction, dead.
Because every time he's away from him, he's like, oh yeah, we got to do this, and we have level-headedness and stuff, and then I see Negan, and it's like attack. So
I know the plan. I'll honk. Wait, there's Negan. Never mind.
Yeah. And we're being told for Iczorro to stop saying Simon Says. And they said in the chat room, Simon Says, stop saying Simon Says.
I didn't even realize I was doing it, but yeah.
And Polyfuse says all Walking Dead needs now is Mila Jovovich driving by, running over zombies as she passes by. Mix it with some
pretty cool.
Terrible Resident Evil films towards the end.
A little bit of Alice, yeah, that mix right in.
Yeah,
we're all going to die down here.
A couple of quick notes on the episode. So I know you're not caught up fully, Mrs. Malice. I am not caught up fully either. However, I see Iczorro is. They are speculating that Georgie is actually the character of Pamela Milton, which is a current character, which makes this is what I want to know. How interesting does this make it if it doesn't end up being this, as opposed to having a story that we know's coming up and farther in line, but setting up something that's going on in the comics right now?
I disagree with the concept in general. First of all, it would be jumping an entire storyline. Next up in the comics is the Whisperers. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do that on the show. So I hope they really do that. But if it is the Commonwealth, which is a giant, like 50,000 plus person
in a
commune,
completely different state as well, right?
In Ohio. Yeah. I don't see how Georgie could possibly be the leader of the Commonwealth, because if you have, first of all, that far away, that big a group, why would the leader be out doing scouting, recruiting missions? I don't see that as possible at all.
Well, here's the question I have.
Could you be like a lieutenant though for that group?
Well, do you think this is a potential FU to Kirkman from AMC?
I think Kirkman is still more involved than ever than
I think he
we've
is
been led to believe.
He's getting to the point where he's not going to be allowed to be involved because of that Amazon exclusive contract.
Yeah, but I don't think that people that are making the second most popular show on TV are petty enough to be like, screw you, creator of this intellectual property.
The producers are suing AMC for money on the Walking Dead show. So there's some petty stuff going on in this show.
I can't speak to Hollywood politics.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems dumb to me.
That's why I'm wondering, because if you go, hey, let's start putting characters that are in here right now and create our own story, because Kirkman's gone. Could it be you're like, hey, we're gonna, you have a new showrunner now. Scott Gimble's the executive.
Scott Gimble.
Yeah, he's not the showrunner. He's above the showrunner now. You have a new showrunner. It just feels a little weird that if they started going that route.
Logistically, there's a few problems. Like I said, that group that people think she's the leader of is several states away, far too big for her to be on a scouting mission, and also. In the comics, after the All Out War storyline with Negan, there's like a 2 to 3 year time jump. So
and couldn't they have kept Carl too at the same time? Because in the comic books, they did catch up to Carl's age, actually.
Yeah, and that's the thing that could happen here too, is they could have introduced her, and then you have the time jump, and she comes back along later, but you introduce her, she does the little I'll be back to check on you guys,
Yeah.
And that's when I'm collecting my other crates of music.
Yeah, it doesn't pop up until after the face wearers.
Maybe at which point then she would be a leader. Like maybe she's not
they
now. So
asked,
that's maybe the one way I could see it happening.
They asked her about returning, if she was returning, and she said, "I couldn't." I love this actress now because she went full on Monty Python on it. On her responses, I couldn't possibly comment. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? That was her actual comment. So she basically said, I can't say if it, but yeah, it's pretty much assumed I'm going to be back as Georgie at some point, but don't know when.
Oh, I absolutely believe she's going to be back.
Zombie, so
yeah. But that was the main thing that was going on, was everybody's asking, who is Georgie? The other main thing, this was the first time that we had, and if it may have passed your eyes, you may have not seen it, but it was the first nude zombie in The Walking Dead. They had to have something new. Yeah, it was just somebody covered in all types of prosthetics that look nude and spots that didn't need to be seen ripped out.
To Dwight and Simon to.
It was when Dwight and Simon were walking, and
I saw the
walked,
zombie,
yeah.
but I didn't like get up close to.
It was so hyped up by Iczorro, and then it was like, this doesn't come to terms with well zombie or bicycle zombie or
Zombie was nasty.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for our show this week. If you guys have any questions, please leave them on the chat. We come back and check this and continue the conversation. You can also comment to us on malice-corp.com. These videos do go up later on YouTube as well, where you can comment on those. That's at youtube.com/c/malicecorp. We appreciate you coming and joining us for the show. We will see you next Monday to talk all things dead, or talk dead with us again. But let's talk about where we can follow everybody. Mrs. Malice, you don't have anywhere to follow.
I'm trying, but
it's coming. It's coming. Eventually, we'll be able to talk dead with her all the time on Twitter at some point. Iczorro, where can we follow you?
At Iczorro on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And you can follow this cast, everything having to do with all of our casts, at MaliceCast on Twitter. You can follow our other two fantastic casts, Nerd Mosh Pit at Nerd Mosh Pit, and Quest for 100 Movies at Quest for Movies on Twitter. You can follow me at Mest_MaliceCorp on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram at Mest5150. And yeah, come back on Friday when we will have our live MaliceCast. That's our main cast. We do it every Friday, 8 p.m., and we do The Walking Dead every Monday at 9 p.m. We appreciate you so much for coming out, and please join us to talk dead next Monday as well. We will see you guys soon. Have a good day.
Carry on.